We come to the Red Bull Ring in F1 24 career mode for the very first time driving for the Red Bull Forge team. So this is one of our two home races, a driver team combo with Silverstone obviously coming up, in Red Bull having a Milton Keynes base as well, but the Austrian drinks company is here and owns this circuit. And well, we've got to try and perform, especially after last time out where we put a lot of pressure on Toyota, but the pressure is too much clearly for me into turn one here in SQ1 as we lock the front right tyre, go a bit wide, and to be honest, the sun not helping things. I always find the sun is a little bit too low for the sprint portion of the Austrian Grand Prix weekend, and of course, yes, it is a sprint weekend, so double the action, double the qualifying, and the sprint race before the full Grand Prix, wanting to try and improve on that first flying lap, and we do so in Sector 1 with just under 2/10 gained. We scrub off the time, though, in the second and last sector, and in the end of it, it's a pretty disappointing sprint qualifying for myself. Verstappen's up there in P6, and for a race off the back of Spain where we came second, it was a good podium. One of the Toyotas had a DNF and Hamilton finished behind us. We should be applying the pressure to Toyota whenever we get the chance, and we've just bottled it. We've tripped over ourselves. We should have been right up there applying more pressure, and instead we've now got work to do in the sprint race. But it's another great qualifying for Alexander Albon there on pole position. So clearly Albon, that pole at Spain maybe wasn't a glitch and a fluke, because he's got back-to-back poles. I know this is the sprint pole, but still, so that's going to be quite intriguing to see how that goes through in the sprint. But I suppose we might not see any of those top guys until the very end of the sprint race, as we have work to do then from outside the top 10. And I suppose then this sprint race might just be a good opportunity to get a bit of a dress rehearsal for the full Grand Prix as we go to 5 red lights, and we're underway for 12 laps around the Red Bull Ring for the sprint on this Saturday. It's a so-so start for us. We're going to try and dive around the outside of Ricardo. Perez nearly get pinched out there by the Mexican driver in the McLaren as we try and climb up to P14. The McLaren gives us a good bit of a drag race as we try and squeeze him out with the ERS. It's a little bit pedestrian into the next right-hander as we're all trying to just not break any bit of our front wing, especially so as we nearly have a look at Fernando Alonso as Sargent making a move further up the road. And the fight he's getting into with Nico Hülkenberg slowed them both right down as we give Alonso a little bit of a love tap because he's going so slow, and they're all just going really slow at the final corner, and we get a mega launch. Can we make this 3 overtakes in one sector? No, we've gone wide. Hülkenberg's tapped us a bit, and Alonso now comes back with the same aggression that we met him with in that previous little section as we try to squeeze him, but he's just so ferocious, isn't he? Fernando Alonso gets down the inside. He's going to give us a good squabble on the exit, and instead we're still watching that battle then going on between Sargent and Hülkenberg as Hülkenberg comes back at Sargent on the inside. So some really great side-by-side moments happening so far here in Austria. It's just a shame for us and maybe all of us here. This is all happening for the highest position of P11. Still 0 points in this sprint as we fake to the right, go to the left, send Alonso a bit of a dummy, and we watch Sargent for the second time now overtake Hülkenberg, and I think this time he will actually finish off that move because we're now going to snap at the heels of the German in the Haas. And this is really odd. Both myself and Hülkenberg then clearly not really continuing the momentum from Catalonia. This is, you know, what you're seeing, the onboard and ahead of us. This is 1 and 2 in that Spanish Grand Prix. Now fighting for P12 and 13 only, trying to overtake Logan Sargent of all people in the high-tech car. As we now pull left to try and make a double pass on Hülkenberg. Sargent, we give him a bit of a squeeze, but he's going to dive us back. We give him all the room to work with in the world, and the American has still hit us. I turned left on purpose to give him more room on the apex because I saw he was going to be incredibly stubborn with that overtake, and he still managed to understeer into us. Brilliant. So now we've got major floor damage. That's orange damage on the floor, that was. Oh no, this is the problem. Hülkenberg was on the inside. Oh my god. It wasn't even Sargent's fault, to be fair to him. That was Hulkenberg diving down the inside. Both of them snagged each other's tyres, and that understeered both of them as a connected unit into me. And that's why it was a pretty hefty clout to my floor. I mean, that's what you get for qualifying low. You're in the pack, you're in the chaos, and you don't have, you know, the advantage of maybe being in some cleaner space, around some cleaner, you know, sort of fighting, basically. So we've got it all to do. We're still in a pretty competitive Red Bull Ford, of course, so I will try and overtake the slower cars and still try to maybe get something out of this sprint race as we try and float it round the outside of our Season 3 teammate, George Russell, as there's some fighting still going on ahead of us between Hulkenberg and Fernando Alonso. I saw Alonso gets ahead of the Haas Cadillac. Here's a replay on lap 4. I think this was whilst I was getting that broken floor. There was some swapping going on between the Williams and Toyota. Oh, a bit of contact is that for the Williams and contact for the other Toyota. Oh, God. The Toyotas are in the absolute wars today, it would seem. Hamilton with a tiny end plate damage from the BMW Williams for the lead of the race, I think that is. And that is Yuki Tsunoda with his entire front wing off, thanks to Oscar Piastri in the Haas. This race weekend so far is almost feeling like that Monaco episode in this same season where there is something in the water. There's something in the coding, I might say, with the AI today. Very punchy, very aggressive, and it's a war. It's a war of attrition, it would seem, in terms of people keeping their car intact. As we make the overtake on Perez, you can really see the understeer and the issue with the floor damage in some of these corners, especially mid-apex. Trying to rotate the car in tighter corners is proving an issue, as there is a problem ahead. There's 3 cars going very slow. I think someone's got an engine failure. It's Lando Norris and the McLaren. What? Illegal overtake on Hulkenberg. FIA. You're ridiculous. What? I've just had to let Leclerc and Alonso butt. And again, I get yellow flags, but we have clearly passed the danger. FIA. Oh, for goodness sake, as we know. Oh, no. I made a desperate dive, and, well... Red flag! Oh my God! We've been saved! The front wing damage. We can change it now. Under red flag. Unbelievable stuff. It is all kicking off here in the sprint in Austria, and this is why the red flag is out. I think that's Lewis Hamilton. He's out of this sprint. Piastri and Ocon caught up in that. Ocon in the middle. Ultimately, the car that Hamilton broke his front end on, as we go to lights out for the second time in the sprint alone, let alone the full race weekend with the Grand Prix coming up. It's a very shockingly slow start there as Hulkenberg completely minces me. Oh, Sainz, a little bit wayward there, nearly had an issue versus Leclerc and Ollie Behrman, and Behrman once again sticking it to Ferrari as he's ahead of both of the lead outfit of the academy he is a part of, as it's a 1-3 for BMW Williams. Look at this, they're making up for Spain. Both of them were high up at the start of Catalonia, and they both ended up with, I think, 0 points, wasn't it, in Spain, so they're trying to make up for it. Verstappen's going to ruin the party a little bit as the Dutchman digs deep, and for the first time since we became career-defined rivals, Verstappen's looking back to his old self a bit quick here in the car, as he still is trying to make this move on Ocon, and we know how Verstappen versus Ocon can go sometimes, is Verstappen is really having to get the elbow out. That BMW Williams genuinely looking rapid out there. Piastri, though, up to second, trying to chase down Albon, but we've only got 2 laps of the sprint left. It's obviously for marginal points, but this is, like I said, a rehearsal for the Grand Prix. This is massively exciting then for the full race. This looks very competitive, a bit too competitive in terms of the AI just can't handle it. They're just tripping over each other, and we've got DNFs, engine failures, breakages, everything. I've still got floor damage, so right now we're just kind of biding our time. I can't really keep up with Leclerc, to be honest, and now Sainz is on my back end. We've used a lot of battery to try and stay ahead of the Spaniard, and we can't really keep up with Leclerc in the corners, and then well, there you go. The second Ferrari is about to waltz through, and I've got no battery to defend. All I can do is try and give him the squeeze in the corner. That will do, but then he just comes back at us again. We've got a mirror full of that Ferrari, and then look at that, the cheek of Hulkenberg to have a little nip on my inside as well, on the right-hand side of the car, and he's actually come through for the overtake. So Hulkenberg and myself, we never got to race wheel to wheel around Catalonia last episode, but we're seeing plenty of each other in this sprint then, as we squeeze the German out. Perez then comes in. Honestly, the AI, they're insane today. What's going on? This is the best I've seen the AI on F1 24 when it comes to side-by-side, you know, actually going for moves and overtakes, as Piastri on the last lap of the sprint. It's Haas Cadillac versus BMW Williams. Verstappen, you know, is quite close. Is there going to be a little bit of last-minute drama as Ollie Behrman pulls away for P4? Leclerc has got Ocon for company as Albon comes back at Piastri. Unbelievable little dive there from the Thai Brit driver, but Piastri is going to hold it through, and I think it may be back-to-back wins for Haas. I know it's a sprint, but still, this has got to be, they've got to be buoyed by this. Haas have won the Spanish Grand Prix with Hulkenberg, and now Piastri wins the next immediate race, the sprint at Austria, and they can take this into the full Grand Prix. Piastri with a last lap move to win the sprint. And you know what? Remember last season when I had that incident with Oscar? That's revenge for last season. That's, you know, a bit of karma for Piastri. Getting that win, the sprint win on the last lap, makes up for what maybe should have been a really good sprint result for him here this time last season in that Haas. We recover to 1 point with the floor damage thanks to a lot of chaos. Hamilton out, Lando, Lance Stroll, 3 DNFs, plenty of other cars caught up with damage, and now we do it all over again because we've got another short qualifying for the full race, and then we've obviously got a longer Grand Prix. But you can see it's a little bit more overcast, as I can actually see turn 1 a bit better there as we have a vicious turn in, I must say, on the onboard to try and qualify well. And I honestly think that there is actually some rain maybe on the way in this qualifying session by the looks of it, but definitely maybe even the race as well. So this is going to be very, very spicy. But right now, with that first flyer, we were behind Piastri, who set a good competitive first time, but now the second flying laps are coming in. We've got a lot of traffic, my word. Ricardo, there's someone else up the road of Hulkenberg. They both get out of the way, thankfully, and the track is really getting quicker and quicker rapidly because it's become less overcast. I think the track's a bit warmer, a bit quicker, as we are going to maintain about 4 to 5 tenths of a second across the line. We're a bit down the order, and we're going to end it in P6. That was a much needed second flyer. It's still not amazing in my opinion, but we've gone quicker than Verstappen, and then also the track evolution was crazy here because Piastri, going from the sprint win, has got proper full pole position by nearly half a second to Ollie Behrman in the high-tech ahead of Tsunoda, Lando and Lewis in the 2 Toyotas and McLarens. Verstappen P8. We've got one heck of a Grand Prix coming up.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. Not long to go before our drivers hurtle off the line and into the first turn, the Niki Lauda curve. It was renamed in 2019 in memory of one of Formula One's most beloved figures.
If the sprint races are really a rehearsal for the full Grand Prix, then we're about to have absolute chaos for this entire Grand Prix. And we're all starting on the medium tyre, so maybe similar strategies. But like I said, I think there's rain on the way at the end of the race. So if you can eke out the mediums and get to a point where you're only maybe doing one stop before the intermediates, I think that will be the wisest choice. It's going to be tough though when you're amongst so many quick cars, the Williams, the Haas Cadillac, obviously the Toyotas, and Verstappen showed up in the sprint. So let's see as we go to 5 red lights, and we're underway for the full Austrian Grand Prix. It's such a slow getaway though for the pole man. Piastri down to 3rd. Ollie Behrman leads the way in the yellow high-tech car. Tsunoda Tsunoda up to second. We try to get the move on Lewis Hamilton to at least get ahead of one Toyota early on in this race. We give him this squeeze. We pull out to the racing line, and Tsunoda is still actually trying to just finish off the move on Oscar Piastri, as Hamilton, to be fair to him, just outdoes me fully on the corner exit to get back into P4, and it looks like Tsunoda may just find his way around the outside of Piastri. They're still at it. This is an unbelievable side-by-side. This might go on for the entire whole lap, as Piastri is just finally having to give up there. But look at the gap that is given Ollie Behrman. He is over 1 second already clear of second place. So he's broken DRS. He can try and get into a groove and maybe try and stay in the lead as long as he can. But that Toyota is chasing on the way in second place. But Piastri is still looking for the repass. You can see up the road as we take it nice and easy into turn one, knowing that they were going to bunch up a bit. I'm trying to find the right place to overtake. I've got a little bit of PTSD from what happened with Sargent, so I'm trying to be careful into some of these tighter corners as Hamilton goes very defensive and dives down the inside of Piastri. A little bit of contact made for our fellow compatriot, and that was a bit audacious from Lewis, I must say. I thought he was just defending us, but then he just went for a move on Oscar, and Oscar moving in the brake zone slightly. Hamilton looking a bit off balance and looking a bit slow, you know, as Hamilton, I think he may have just got a bit of damage on Piastri as we go right round the outside of the Toyota, and we're up into P4. And yeah, my God, okay, that curb nearly gave me a bit of a shock. We need to really concentrate, but I was going to say, I think actually Hamilton's legit got damage. Visually, he doesn't have any damage on the front wing, so it may just be some sort of mechanical damage that he's picked up there. But as soon as he tried to make that pass on Piastri, he's been as slow as a turtle. He's down to P7 nearly as Verstappen makes the overtake. Ocon obviously minced him, so he's lost 3 positions, all after trying to make that move on Piastri. Last season, of course, Piastri was no stranger to damage here in Austria. It seems like this season he is the bringer of the damage for anyone who's encountering him. He's being very aggressive this race weekend and really getting the elbows out, and Tsunoda coming back at him though, equally aggressive. Tsunoda's looking very punchy, I must say. I mean, he's probably very pissed off after losing his front wing in the sprint, but these two being side by side now is inviting us in. So all of a sudden we're in the frame fighting for the remaining podium spot outside of P1. The fighting will continue, but I'm not kind of getting involved at this stage. I'm just kind of watching and biding my time, waiting for the right opportunity as Tsunoda and Piastri nearly bang tyres into that right-hander. I mean, it's an exquisite battle just to watch from where I'm sat in this cockpit, but I'm just waiting for the right time where there's some sort of opening where I can make a clean move to get up into, well, I'm thinking not even third. I think we could probably get a double sort of pass going on one of the straights with DRS and get up into second place. But then the thing is, oh God. Well, thank you, Red Bull. Thank you. I love this car. I just talked about making the move in the DRS straight. Well, I've got no DRS. Love that for me. And it means very soon, very quickly, Verstappen comes knocking on my door, and I actually oblige. I let him by on purpose. I lift off because, yeah, sure, we're in a rivalry, but I've got no DRS. As a team, there's no point me holding him up, and instead he goes straight away for the dive bomb. What? Oh my days! It's a kamikaze assassination by Max Verstappen on Yuki Tsunoda. He immediately went for the dive as soon as I let him by. That alone was going to be impressive, but he's taken out the Toyota. Oh my days! The Toyotas are facing a horrid bit of luck in this portion of the season. Tsunoda's out, and it's a red flag because there was a pile-up. So now, tyre strategy-wise, I think the players definitely go on hards, and I think go to the end, because looking at the weather icon, there's no more rain forecast. So I think the best bet is to go for track position, go to the hard, and go all the way to the end. It says I'll go to another set of softs, but I actually think myself and Max, he's on the hards as well, we're both going to go to the end of the race on this set of tyres as we go to lights out. Once again, Bearman, this time off pole position, doesn't get a great start. Seems like the pole man is not getting a great getaway here around the Red Bull ring, as it's a bit of a so-so getaway for us. We had to watch out for Ocon on our outside. Bearman, who lost P1, coming back for first place as Ocon is incredibly aggressive down the inside of us and breaks his front wing on the Verstappen. I knew... Oh, my days. Oh! Oh, my God, no. Oh my God. Lewis Hamilton pulls up. He's out. He's got an engine failure. So both Toyotas are out of the full Grand Prix. This is massive for all of us. This is anyone's game now. As we go round the outside of Ocon, we just saw him tangle with Verstappen. We did very well to avoid a crash with Ocon, by the way, because you could see he was on absolute smoke. But now, without DRS, I've got a bit of a problem because Hulkenberg catches me up. Leclerc is in DRS range, Norris as well. So all of a sudden, I'm going to have another four-way battle with three other cars like we did in the sprint. This time it's Hulkenberg again. Welcome back, mate. We've got Leclerc and Norris now. Verstappen is pulled away. He's on his own now. So we're going to try and make the best of it, but I can't believe the DRS is still broken. This is really, really frustrating. Maybe this is karma for me. Remember, last season, my DRS got stuck open in the sprint, and that helped me around Austria. So maybe this is payback. The F1 gods are punishing me and balancing it all out as we have a side-by-side battle for first place in this race, and there's no Toyota in sight. It's Haas Cadillac versus High-Tech. Oscar Piastri versus Ollie Bearman, with the two dominant cars of Toyota out of this. It is anyone's game. We've got four different teams in the top four. Haas, High-Tech, BMW Williams, Red Bull Ford. Amazing. Absolute F1 cinema. This is F1 cinema. It's amazing. It's amazing as now we continue this scrapping because I'm able to keep up with these guys using battery, but as soon as I overtake them, I am then a sitting duck without DRS, of course, as we try and go around the outside of Lando Norris. The only advantage I have in this situation is I'm on hards, remember, and you can notice now everyone around us is on mediums. So eventually, I will have the better race tyre. These guys will start to face tyre wear, and that's when I'll come into my own. Also, by the way, you may have already realised this by seeing myself and Verstappen on hards and everyone else on mediums. These guys have to pit again because most of them started on medium, so they're doing medium. So if there's no rain, the rule says they have to pit again to change compounds. So I think myself and Verstappen could be in a really good position come that second pit stop, unless there's rain. If there is some surprise rain still to come, as it was originally forecast, then we're a bit screwed. But let's cross that bridge when we get to it. Right now, we're just watching Leclerc and Hulkenberg go side by side for now nearly a whole lap. This is on lap 17. We're kind of stuck here because I've got Lando behind me who's going to have DRS. We've got some battery to use, but really there's no point putting up a fight against these guys the way I see it because I'm just wearing my hards out more than I need to. So although I'm looking for some overtakes, you can see here I'm not really going to use much battery. I'm going to let Lando do his thing and overtake Hulkenberg there because I may as well just use these guys for a bit of slipstream and tow and just try and protect my tyres because there will be a point, I'm hoping, where I'm in clean air on the hards and we're going to try and go to the end. So the fresher my tyres are, the better. Having said all of that, I've just ignored all what I've talked about and made a move on Hulkenberg, but you know how it is. It's, you know, you can try and back off, but if an opening's there, you're going to go for it, obviously. You know, it's the racing driver and all of us, I feel, is Norris now with DRS on the Ferrari, and we're just using battery. Still really unable to make anything work up the road. Verstappen's still in frame on the minimap, I can see, so he's not rapid, but obviously having DRS and not having cars around you definitely helps. by lap 21, this is the point where I kind of accepted, okay, let's just let Hulkenberg by. Let's really do some tyre saving. Let them fight. Because I am now just fighting for the sake of fighting. So there's no one behind me. Behrman's pit, by the way, now. You can see actually there. So the race leader, or one of the race leaders, has pit. He's on hards now, confirming to us that everyone ahead of us, apart from Verstappen, they will have to do the same. They will be coming in. And so myself and Verstappen, here at the Red Bull Ring, we might be coming up with some amazing track position here. Piastri's in the pits. Norris, Hulkenberg, Leclerc, they'll all come in eventually as well. So Verstappen leads. I'm climbing up some free positions. And by the time we get to the end of lap 22, Norris and Hulkenberg, they're finally in. And so as we round the final corner, we're going to come down the main straight. And at the Red Bull Ring, it is going to be a 1-2 for Red Bull Ford. Verstappen leads by about 5 seconds to myself, and then there is going to be a monumental gap to the next car who had made that second pit stop. So we know this Red Bull can be very good on its tyres compared to other teams. So all we've got to do is not have an engine failure, knock on wood. And we actually might be coming through with a shock 1-2 for this team in a race where, remember, the rivals that we are so far away from, we're trying to chase them, the dominant team, they've got a double DNF. This is all coming up Red Bull Ford at the moment. Lap 32 then. About, what, like 10 laps later. Verstappen still leading the way. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. As much as Verstappen really had a very mid last 2 episodes, this episode, he slapped me up. I could not catch him. I was trying so hard. I just couldn't do it. He was too... I just put my hands up. He was too quick for me in this phase of this Grand Prix on the hards, because he's grown the gap to 8 seconds. Meanwhile, behind me, I'm keeping the length at about 11 seconds, and there's some fighting going on between Behrman and Albon. How much they would wish to be fighting for first and second. Instead, it's for the last podium spot here, but... yeah, Verstappen has completely got this entire race under control, dominating things. By the second last lap, he's nearly 10 seconds ahead of me, and the guys behind me are chasing me. They've actually brought the gap down to 7 seconds, so you can see I've just not really got the same pace as Max on these hards now at the end of the race. There's some great scrapping going on behind me, though, as that's Leclerc. Yeah, Leclerc on the second last lap, actually catching Behrman and getting P4. So this actually might end up being the best finish in a full Grand Prix for the Ferrari team. P4 for Leclerc. He's actually on the back of Albon here, so might there be a last lap overtake? Could Leclerc get Ferraris? I think this might be if Leclerc does it. Oh my God. As I speak about Leclerc maybe on for a podium, Ferrari... it's a fine balance, isn't it? The other Ferrari has a DNF, an engine failure, onto the last lap. I can't believe that. That's amazing. It really is. It's Ferrari always finding balance, because Leclerc does indeed get into third place. Quite amazingly, this is how bad Ferrari's season has been so far. The reigning double constructors team, remember, going into this one, this is going to be their first ever podium in this season 5. And it's going to be Verstappen's second win of this season, and Red Bull Ford's first 1-2, my first 1-2, driving for Red Bull at the Red Bull Ring. It's a fantastic day in the office for this team with the Toyota DNF as well. Amazing.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
They had to be decisive with their overtaking today as they worked their way through the field. And those kind of race victories are so enjoyable, because it's not just like winning from the front. They really had to work for it today.
That is a massive result in a race where it could have gone really either way, you know, with how competitive things are, how good Williams, Behrman was, the Haas Cadillac, everyone. The fact that we've come out with a 1-2 is unreal, and also owing to obviously how good this Red Bull can be on its tyres in clean air for that 1-2. It's a massive leap forwards on Toyota. With that win for Verstappen, he's actually realistically got a chance, if he does well next episode, to actually overtake one of the Toyotas in the championship perhaps. So that is going to be very positive signs for the season ahead. Maybe be. We've got to keep up this pressure. But guys, if you have enjoyed this one, action-packed Austrian Grand Prix episode, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And if you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.